A one-sided ass whooping, bro. That's what we're gonna be in for next week when Ian Garry fights Carlos Prates. Now I feel like it's starting to turn into the hype train that is the Fighting Nerds, 19-0 in the UFC. I feel like people are gonna start riding some hype going into this fight instead of looking at stuff from a stylistic point of view. Ian Garry's a lot better than Carlos Prates. I want you guys to know this right now, and the fight's not going to be particularly close. Now, when I say this, I'm referring to the fact that Ian Garry's better everywhere, and yes, I'm including the striking. Carlos Prates is good at what he's good at, and what he's good at is like when he's trying to impose his will against people who just can't strike and kind of fear him, and they have like people believing in hype. Fighters do this. People might think I'm just crazy. Fighters do something where they almost believe in the hype of a fighter, so they fight cautiously. You guys, when he knocked me out my last fight, let's address the Neil Magny situation. Chat, first of all, I was tagging him up in some exchanges. If you actually watch the Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates fight, you will see me pushing the pace and actually landing straight punches on his jaw. You know, had his head snapping back, pushed him against the fence. I failed takedown attempts, but there were what I call old man takedown attempts. Now, there's some things that when I feel like fighters try to engage in entries, they just do it improperly. This is not an old guy you're facing, you know what I'm saying? This is not someone who can't strike, someone who can't grapple. This is someone who could do it all. Now, it's going to sound like some glaze to Ian Garry, but people don't understand how well-rounded the guy really is, and he's really legit. And people want to criticize him because he lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's actually a pretty solid, more well-rounded opponent and more worthy opponent than a Carlos Prates. Prates is not even near a Shavkat, realm. I want to talk about their resumes before I even talk about the stylistic breakdown, because Ian Garry's been in there against the best. Like, he's been in there against the best contenders, the best strikers, everything. In contrast to Carlos Prates, who's beating up, me who's on my way out. I'm old, bro. And Neil Magny win's not doing shit for you, bro. Getting pieced up by Trevor Gills, whatever the dude's name is, bro, said Gills. I don't care. He's getting pieced up by Trevor, getting your ass whooped by that guy. The Leech win is okay, but if you actually look at Leech stylistically, he's not a good fighter. You know what Leech is more known for, chat? It's not from his great fighting. It's from his nice suits, man. Yeah, Leech came in with a nice suit, bro. Didn't get to fight. That's literally his 5 seconds of fame. And then getting mauled by Hamzat. But people gotta realize his resume, comparison, Ian Garry's actually been in there with the best fighters on the planet Earth. Carlos Prates has not. And I want you guys to understand that. So when you watch this fight and you see Ian Garry just mixing it up better and being the better fighter and the better mixed martial artist, it's not going to surprise you. So that's just my overall aspect on my overall take on the entire fight as a whole, because I really believe so. But if you don't believe me and you're not convinced, I actually want to look at it from a stylistic point of view. I want to look at everything from the striking, the grappling, and how the fight will play out. So let's get into that part of the video. So first and foremost, let's look at the striking, guys. Let's compare the striking, because there's going to be people saying, dude, Prates striking is way better than Ian Garry. Ian Garry looked horrible against MVP. Ian Garry this, Ian Garry that. First of all, let's talk about this. Prates striking is good when he's dictating. When he's dictating the fight and he's kind of pushing you on the back foot, he looks pretty good. And if you give him time to set up strikes, he will. He's one of those fighters that if you're inexperienced on the feet going against him, he will expose you. Like Carlos Ratic, that fight when he grabbed his arm, then he jumped in with the flying knee and finished him. It's because he was giving Prates too much respect, to the point where Prates is like, you're going to just let me choose my shots? You're going to let me grab your hand and hand fight you, and you're not going to do anything? You're going to let me choose my shots? Those green strikers that Prates can go against, he can't get you out of there, because you're giving him too much respect. You're fearing him. I know Ian Garry's not going to be like that. I also said he's inexperienced against good strikers. If you guys saw how he was doing against Trevor in the pocket, Trevor's a very mediocre, bland, kind of trash striker. He was beating him up badly in the pocket. Every single pocket exchange, Prates was getting the worst of it. He really was just getting tagged up. And I know people are going to actually say Garry's also bad in the pocket, but Garry's not actually bad in the pocket. This is a misconception that I want people to understand. Yes, he got dropped by the Asian dude in the pocket. Yes, sometimes his chin is kind of high, so he might get caught in the pocket, but his counter punching in the pocket and his ability to slip and come back, I'm not going to say it's Conor McGregor-esque, but it's quick. His hands are really quick in the pocket, so this guy Prates, who doesn't really do good in the pocket necessarily, especially with people who are aggressive in the pocket, where Ian Garry actually is pretty aggressive of a striker. He wasn't as aggressive in the MVP fight. I'm going to explain why when it gets to that, but usually he'll back you up with his range, and then when you throw, he's going to stay in the pocket and just barely get out the way and come back, and that's what I think is going to expose and show kind of a big deficit in Carlos Prates' defensive ability in the pocket, because I do think he gets hit a lot. That's evident, you know what I'm saying? I will say Trevor, he's more of a scrapper, whereas I feel like Ian Garry's a little bit more of he picks his shots more appropriately. But if it's going to be a straight kickboxing match, I'm still not going to favor Carlos Prates, who needs to be dictating. If you're not able to dictate against someone who's as long and rangy as you, it's not going to go good for you. See, Neil Magny was tagging him up just because Neil Magny's rangy too. Is Neil Magny a great striker like Ian Garry? No. Like, Neil Magny's striking is abysmal. No offense to me, but bro can't strike. Let's be real. He can't throw hands with the best of them. He might be a real bad man, but he went out real sad when he faked that knockout. You didn't get knocked out, dude. You literally got touched and you fell down, brother. You know, I was paid off to sell that fight. But Gary's been in there against the best in the division already, as far as striking is concerned. MVP, I've always said it, and people call me crazy. Since that Kevin Holland fight, I've been saying it. MVP stylistically is the best striker in the UFC. This is just my opinion. Like, I don't care what anyone says. His speed and his ability to be in and out so quickly, that's a very hard style to get a grasp of. And yes, Ian Garry was kind of getting licked up on the feet, but like I said, MVP will do that to anyone. That's his MVP striking style. It's very hard to predict. Carlos Prates strikes nowhere similar. So if you're going to try to use MVP was landing on him, so I know Prates is. Trust me, Prates is nowhere near as explosive or quick as MVP, so he's not going to be able to explode and get in and out. If anything, I think the speed advantage will actually be Ian Garry in this fight. And I feel like the kicking advantage that people need to take into account is Ian Garry could throw a push kick. He could throw an oblique kick. He could throw head kicks. Ian Garry's pretty quick with his kicks. So if this is going to be a kickboxing match for a good amount of the fight, people are going to try to lean into the law of a Carlos Prates knocked out, Neil Magny and Leach and all these bums who can't strike, but they're good strikers to me. Ian Garry's actually been in there with pretty solid strikers. And against Shavkat, Ian Garry was landing some decent shots. That was kind of a cuddle session, so it was kind of hard to gauge what was going on. It looked like Shavkat didn't really want to stand with him, so he kind of just tried to clinch him the whole time. But, it is what it is. Shavkat's a pretty decent striker as well. And Ian Garry had a lot of moments against him. So I just feel like Ian Garry was just an experience against better strikers and better opponents, period. Whereas Carlos Prates' best performances are coming from people who just can't strike, or primary grapplers who are just mid. And some of them are still even tagging him up. So I really think the experience difference in the striking is going to show in this striking match when Carlos Prates isn't having a massive reach advantage and height advantage, because now he's going to be giving up both. He did it against Magny. You're going to be like, oh, but can he knock down Magny? Magny is just not Ian Garry. It's maybe height-wise and dimensions-wise, it could be similar, but striking-wise, you're going to see the speed difference from Ian Garry to a Neil Magny. Now, let's talk about the grappling. You guys don't want to talk about the grappling if you're a Prates fan, because let's be real. It's going to be a grape session. Like, I'm telling you right now, Gary's grappling is levels above. And he will grapple. I hope people know. One thing about Ian Garry that I feel like will tick people off is that he's not necessarily fighting to entertain people. Ian Garry is the type to fight to get the win, which I respect. And it's not like he has boring. I'm not gonna say he has boring fights, because he doesn't. But against the MVP, he understood. Listen, bro, this guy has me in the striking. I'm gonna wrestle him, and it got me mad. I'll be real. That kind of pissed me off because I did have money on MVP. I was hoping MVP just keeps it on the feet and just destroys him. But Ian Garry did the smart thing in grappling, and is he gonna do it against Carlos Prates in a 5-round fight, bro? Let me just say, dude. Oh my God, this grappling in this fight is going to be very important. It's going to fatigue and it's going to gas someone like Carlos Prates, and it's going to lead to Ian Garry having a lot of moments in this fight, especially as the fight elongates. I'm telling you, even if he's not getting him down, watch how the clinch goes. Watch how he works him in the clinch, and watch how Carlos Prates kind of nonchalantly starts to accept his position against the fence, kind of just like, oh, get off me. Kind of what Aldo was doing against Merab. When Merab had him against the fence, he's like, oh, he has me against the fence. Dude, get off the fence. I can see some people don't understand. People who are watching will be like, it's boring, man, break him up. But the person on the fence, even Pereira and Ankalaev, this guy is actively not doing anything to get out the position because they're tired. It's not because they want to be there. They're either tired or they're giving up a significant strength advantage and they can't get out. But most of the time is that they're tired and they don't want to use an explosive movement because it takes too much energy for them to get out of it. I can very much see somebody like Carlos Prates who smokes 10,000 cigs a day, drinks alcohol. You guys think that, oh, it's such a cool lifestyle, man. This guy's so cool, man. He's such a cool gangster, man. Look at him doing all these drugs before fights. Cool. You can think it's as cool as you want. But when that gas tank hits in a 5-round fight, let's see that gas tank. Let's see you get off the cage. Let's see you get up from a takedown. The grappling advantage from Ian Garry, especially considering what I'm going to assume is not great cardio from Carlos Prates. I could be wrong. Maybe he has the best cardio. Maybe smoking cigs and all that, it helps your cardio. I could be wrong. But I do have the feeling that he's probably not going to have a cardio advantage over Ian Garry. I haven't seen him go 5 rounds. He's pretty good at finishing fights. I've seen him look a little bit sloppy and fatiguing a little bit, but I haven't seen him go 5 rounds, and I just don't trust his gas tank. And it could just be me just doing the wrong thing. I've seen him quit before the UFC, when he's tired, just kind of nail on the fence, I give up. Quitter in him. He has quitter in him. When shit gets hard and he gets tired, he has that quit. Ian Garry's going to be the type to pull it out of him. I'm telling you right now. So I'm not going to be surprised when the grappling has a big part of why he kind of wants to give up in this fight. Now, how do I see the fight going? Initially, the fight's going to be a kickboxing fight. They're going to kickbox at range. And like I said, I do think Ian Garry's like oblique kicks and his straight punches might be quicker, and he will have the speed advantage. So I actually think he will even be outpointing Carlos Prates on the feet. Now, as the rounds elongate, I do see Ian Garry starting to mix in the clinching, and this is when he starts to mix in the clinching. At first, I feel like Carlos Prates is going to do a good job defending. Like, oh my God, stuffed takedown by Prates. He looks so crazy, bro. He's stuffing these takedowns. He looks legit. And then eventually, round 2, round 3, round 4. Why is he still holding on to me? Why is he still grappling? Why is he still clinching me? I can't get out. Ultimately, I do think he will get him down. It's going to be a point in the fight where that quit in Carlos Prates comes out again, and you're getting taken down and ragdolled, and people are starting to boo. Oh, boo, boo, boo. We hate you, bro. Get off him. And this is when the Fighting Nerds moment ends. I really see Ian Garry winning by UD or submission. You know, I could really see a submission because, you know, when he had Shavkat's back, who I think's a way better grappler, by the way. I don't think I need to explain why I think he's a better grappler than Carlos Prates, but he's definitely more experienced from Kazakhstan region. He's been doing it all his life, a part of it. You know, Carlos Prates, you know, we haven't really seen him get taken down much because, like I said, Neil Magny had an opportunity to take him down, but he started shooting those old man takedowns, those hugely telegraphed takedowns that anyone could stuff from a mile away. But once Ian Garry gets him down, and he's later in the fight, because this is going to be his first 5-rounder for Carlos Prates, and he's in a bad position, I really see someone like Ian Garry getting, instead of not sinking in that rear choke, he's going to sink it in. This is the person to sink it in against. And I'm telling you, it could be a head and arm. There's so many different ways he could win by submission. I just won't be surprised when it happens. Other people might. And if it's not submission, I could see him just fatiguing and kind of just, you know, Ian Garry putting it on him in the fence, and he's kind of just nailing down like, oh, I give up, man. I can't take anymore, bro. Carlos Prates, out of every fighting nerd, is the most beatable. You know, and I know people don't want to accept that as a fact, because they want to keep riding this hype. And I'm glad that the hype's a thing. I love the fighting nerd hype, because there's some of them are pretty legit. But Prates, I'm telling you, out of everyone, I feel like he had the most cherry-picked, easiest fight stylistically. You know, I feel like, you know, Gene Silva kind of been through some tough challenges. Even Kyle Brahalo. I feel like most of them have been through tougher challenges. Yeah, Rufy too is kind of getting handpicked shit, but Prates is getting handpicked in a division he really shouldn't be. And this is his first test, and it's going to be a 5-rounder against someone who I've seen, who has not shown to be like slow as the fight elongates. Like, I haven't seen Ian Garry start to slow in the 3rd round or anything. If anything, he comes alive. He looks quicker. He looks better. You know, he's shown great. He looked better in every 3rd round almost. In the MVP fight, his 3rd round was pretty solid. He stole that fight that way. In Shavkat, 3rd round, he looked great. You know, so I feel like he, as a round goes, looks great. In contrast with Carlos Prates, I have seen him start to slow, start to eat some punches. And I've seen him before the UFC give up when the fights were getting hard for him. So Ian Garry will bring that out. And Ian Garry's confidence, this might sound crazy, but his confidence is also a reason I'm really confident, because he's like, I know what I'm going to do. No matter what, it's going to be a masterclass this time, the third. He's talking. And when Ian Garry starts to flap his mouth, like, it might be annoying you guys, but I believe him, because he brings a fight every time. He's not afraid of any competition. I do believe mentality-wise, Ian Garry's the right person to kind of make him look really bad. Like, when he makes Prates look really bad, they're going to call him a fraud. This will be considered a fraud check on paper, because, you know, they have so much hype with the fighting nerds, and the fighting nerds aren't a bad group. Don't get me wrong; they're very talented. But Carlos Prates and his smoking every day and his drinking every day. Let's see how that habit affects you in this fight against someone like Ian Garry, who's gonna be game, who's gonna try to go in there and actually destroy you, and he's not gonna be Neil Magny maxing and get touched with a fucking punch that barely graces a hair follicle and get knocked out. It's just not happening, man. It's not happening. So Ian Garry, this is like, bro, this is definitely a luck. I don't know the odds. If I'm going to do a full card prediction, I'll re-talk about this and revisit this next week probably, but if this is an underdog lock, it's an underdog lock. Listen, I'm telling you, chat. First of all, main events, how much have I got right this year? You know, I only got 2 wrong. One was the Izzy fight, then the Moreno-Ursek fight. I've been on a streak. I don't get main events wrong. This is not going to be one of them. It's going to be another easy prediction, and Ian Garry is going to go in there, beats on him like Dr. Dre, hands on him, lots of base. But we're going to have to see how this fight goes. I do think Ian Garry's going to have his moment. He's going to hit like a little dally at the end of it, and he's going to go home, you know, watching his wife get... All right, buddy. But that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. I think it's a pretty comfortable win by Garry, but I want to see you guys' takes. That's it for me, and God bless. 2, 3, 4.